Marcus, want some milk? As soon as I opened my eyes, I saw Grace sitting by my bed, wearing a nightgown that barely concealed her body. Smiling, I rubbed my head. A throbbing pain kept me from fully waking up. Meeting's gaze. I instinctively took the milk, just as I was about to drink. My memories suddenly flooded back. I had clearly died. So what was I now? I picked up my phone, and glanced at it. June, the 23rd, 2028, half a year before my death. I had been reborn. A system voice suddenly echoed in my mind, informing me I now possessed a mind-reading system. In my previous life, Grace had done the exact same thing, secretly putting medicine in my milk every night and serving it to me. Drinking the medicated milk for too long would cause hallucinations, memory loss, and prolonged drowsiness. At the time, I even congratulated myself on finding such a gentle and graceful wife, who excelled at her job and loved me so much. It turned out she had already harbored murderous intent towards me since then. I handed the milk back to Grace. Grace, my head aches so much, I don't want to drink it. I activated the system, allowing Grace to hear my inner thoughts. My is truly wonderful, so incredibly virtuous, I don't want her to work so hard. Hearing this, Grace paused, took the milk, and motioned for me to rest my head on her chest. Marcus, it'll be sad if you don't drink your milk. Drink your milk, then go back to sleep, okay? Seeing that she wouldn't leave until I drank it, I took the cup and gulped it all down. Grace subtly exhaled a sigh of relief and tucked me in. You go to sleep first. I'll go downstairs and tidy up. Once I confirmed her footsteps had completely faded, I rushed to the bathroom and started to induce vomiting. I scraped my throat raw, but finally managed to empty my stomach. I carefully lay back in bed, making sure Grace hadn't heard my movements. Sure enough, less than half an hour later, Grace came back up to check on me. Marcus, wake up. Grace gently nudged my shoulder. I kept my eyes closed, pretending to be asleep. Grace called my name for a long time. When I didn't respond, she finally relaxed, and swayed into the walk-in closet to change. Once was dressed, she left. I quietly got out of bed and followed her. I never knew that every night after she drugged me, Grace would secretly slip out to meet her lover. After leaving the house, Grace walked towards the backyard garden. At the far end of the backyard garden, a man was waiting for her. The man stepped out of the shadows, and I finally got a clear look at his face. It was none other than my driver, Ethan. Ethan had been with me since I first started my business. I get motion sickness easily, so I am very particular about drivers. Whenever drove, I could always sleep peacefully, so for any long-distance trips, I'd always ask him to help out. I even met my wife thanks to Ethan. I even once considered Ethan the matchmaker, who brought my wife and me together, and I even had him as a groomsman at our wedding. I watched as they got into my car, and engaged in their filthy activities. I quietly returned to my room, and stood by the window, activating the mind-reading system. I made sure the range was just right for Ethan to hear. Ethan. I shouted his name in my mind. Ethan in the car startled, quickly pushing Grace away. Grace looked bewildered. What's wrong? Ethan stared at Grace in horror. Just now, I heard Marcus' voice. Grace covered her mouth and chuckled. How could that be? I drugged him. He's asleep. Ethan was still shaken, trembling as he pushed Grace away, losing all desire to continue what they were doing. This is a critical moment. It's better not to make any mistakes. Grace rolled her eyes at Ethan. You really misheard. How could he be here? I continued, my inner thoughts reaching Grace perfectly. Did you really mishear? Grace let out a shriek. They both cautiously peered outside the car but didn't see me. Ethan held back the restless Grace. What's wrong? What's gotten into you? Grace pushed Ethan away. Didn't you hear Marcus speak? Ethan smiled and shook his head. You must be hallucinating too. After this incident, I quickly went back to bed and pretended to be asleep. They had no further intention of continuing their activities and each went home. When my wife returned, seeing me still asleep, she quietly exhaled a breath of relief and lay down beside me. I never knew when my wife had grown distant from me. I began to recall things piece by piece. It wasn't the first time she had drugged me. I only found out after my death in the previous life that ever since she married me, she and Ethan had been plotting how to kill me. The first time, she had Ethan buy pesticides, but for some reason, she didn't mix them into my drink. The second time, she added an excessive amount of sleeping pills to my food. After eating, my vision went black, and I fell asleep, but I only slept for one night before waking up. At the time, I even wondered why the meal I ate yesterday tasted a bit bitter, but Grace just said it was because she burnt the sugar while caramelizing it. Later, seeing that the sleeping pills had no effect on me, they started putting one pill in my milk every day. The toxins wouldn't take effect immediately, they accumulated over time. The last time, while I was asleep, Ethan used a rope to strangle me to death. After I died, my soul floated in the air, watching Ethan and my wife move my body, staging it as a suicide. Grace immediately called the police. After viewing the scene, the police also ruled it a suicide. Then, acting as my wife, she refused an autopsy and hastily had my body cremated. My parents tried to seek justice from Grace, but Ethan beat them and drove them out of the house, then absconded with all my assets, and moved to a different place to live with Ethan. A fierce hatred surged through me. I instinctively clenched the hand hanging by my side, my fingertips turning white from the force. Even now, I still don't understand why Grace and Ethan harbored such immense malice towards me. The next day when I woke up, Grace had already prepared breakfast for me. I quickly got dressed and went downstairs. Ethan was also waiting outside the door for me. I glanced at Ethan. He didn't dare to look directly at me. As soon as he saw me looking, he immediately shifted his gaze. What was he feeling guilty about? Seeing this, Grace quickly pulled me to sit at the dining table. "Marcus, hurry and eat something, you'll be late for work soon." I looked at the food on the table, instinctively feeling it was poisoned. Never mind, I have things to do at the company headquarters, so I am leaving now. Grace paused, then forcefully shoved a sandwich into my hand. "Your stomach isn't good, save it to eat on the way." I got into the car, reflecting on the years I had been married to Grace. Grace and I met during our freshman year of college. Back then, my family had a bit of money, and I had the best of everything, but was different. Her family was struggling. When she arrived at school for orientation, she carried a large canvas bag, and someone posted a picture of her on the campus social media page, where she was mocked for a long time. I often saw her juggling various part-time jobs, scoffing at others' ridicule. She had a great figure and was beautiful. After learning how to dress well, she became even more dazzling. Walking around campus, people would always try to get her number. That's how I fell in love with her. I had never pursued a girl before and was initially awkward, but she was eventually moved by my enthusiasm. She said I touched her heart like a little son. Later, we graduated and got married together. For her, I worked relentlessly to earn money, but she conspired with her lover to kill me. Lost in thought, I unknowingly fell asleep again. When I woke up again, it was Ethan who woke me. "Marcus, we're here. Did I fall asleep?" Ethan nodded. "How long was I asleep?" "About half an hour." Given this, I was even more certain that there was something in the car. Otherwise, why would I always fall asleep every time I rode in the car, despite being someone who gets severe motion sickness? Using the excuse of car maintenance, I had Ethan take my car to my friend's auto shop for repairs. After the car was delivered, I asked my friend to remove all suspicious decorations from the car, and send them for lab testing at a hospital. I also took out the dashcam's SD card. The video of Ethan and Grace's intimacy in the car hadn't been deleted yet. I saved the video on my computer, and locked it away as evidence. That night, when I returned home, Grace was as virtuous as ever. In fact, she was more proactive than usual. During dinner, she kept playfully touching me with her foot under the table. Before, I would have dropped my chopsticks and gone back to the room with her, but now, I just frowned and told her to behave. Grace looked at me, pouting. "Marcus, don't you think you've been a bit cold towards me lately?" I deliberately put on a worried expression. "The company headquarters has had some issues recently. We might lose a large sum of money. Our family might even go bankrupt." Grace's eyes instantly changed. What happened? Why is this happening so suddenly? Watching her face suddenly change, I couldn't help but sneer. The business world is like a battlefield. Isn't it normal to have ups and downs? By the way, Grace, you must have saved quite a bit of the salary I gave you before, right? Could you transfer it to me? The company headquarters urgently needs a large sum of money to cover some deficits. Grace hesitated for a moment. "Marcus, All that money is in a fixed deposit account at the bank. I might not be able to withdraw it anytime soon. I feigned surprise, then nodded. Grace secretly breathed a sigh of relief. I activated the mind-reading system, and muttered in my mind, what should I do now? If the company headquarters goes bankrupt, Grace won't divorce me, will she? The house we're living in might also be repossessed by the courthouse. What can I do? Grace looked at me in surprise. Marcus, did you just say something? I stepped forward and touched Grace's forehead. You don't have a fever, so why are you talking nonsense? Seeing my reaction, Grace relaxed, mumbled a few perfunctory words, and then went upstairs with her phone. I knew she was sending a message to her lover. Weren't they trying to scheme for my assets? Well then, I'd transfer my assets first. Ever since I started my business, Grace hasn't worked outside the house. She knows nothing about company management. As far as I know, Ethan is the same. He even dropped out of college before finishing his bachelor's degree. That night, Grace still brought me a cup of hot milk. I pretended to drink it, then, when Grace wasn't looking, poured it out. Perhaps the situation was somewhat urgent this time, as Grace didn't even come to ask about me. She just put on her clothes and went to secretly meet with Ethan. After I was reborn, I hired a private detective to investigate Grace's bank transactions. Undoubtedly, all the salary I had transferred to Grace over the years had been secretly withdrawn by her into another card. This account must be a joint account between her and Ethan, and withdrawing funds from it would certainly require Ethan's consent. The next day, Grace excitedly told me she had called the bank yesterday, and they agreed to release the money. She would transfer it to me after dinner. I was naturally happy to get the money, but Ethan was different. While driving, he looked at me with a hostile expression. I deliberately struck up a conversation with him in the car. What's wrong? Is something bothering you? Ethan realized his expression and quickly forced a smile. Nothing, Marcus. After transferred $1 million to me from the bank, she found an excuse to come see me. Ostensibly, it was to bring me food, but in reality, she wanted to see if something had truly gone wrong at the company headquarters. I had already held a meeting with the company's top executives. Grace's trip would likely not yield the information she was looking for. To prove Grace and my affection, I deliberately pushed aside my work to escort her downstairs before she left. Ethan was already waiting below the company headquarters, and when he saw Grace, their eyes secretly exchanged glances. I heard Ethan's inner thoughts. He said he was going to take his dear Grace to seek some excitement soon. Grace also secretly smiled, pressing her lips together, as if they had long ago planned their next move. I watched them leave, and the moment I turned around, Ethan's car turned into the underground parking garage. I called security, telling the guard to keep an eye on the stairwell cameras on every floor, informing him that unauthorized individuals might have entered the company headquarters. The guard immediately became alarmed, repeatedly assuring me he would monitor the cameras closely. They entered the company headquarters from the underground parking garage, and turned into the stairwell. By rights, there shouldn't have been surveillance in the stairwell, but for the safety of the company's personnel, I had installed a hidden camera on every floor. At that moment, I was in a meeting when a call from security came in. Mr. Marcus, this is bad. Something's happened. Someone's in the 6th floor stairwell. I thought someone was causing trouble in the stairwell, so I immediately downloaded the surveillance footage to my phone. I forgot that my phone was still connected to the company headquarters' large screen. The screen prominently displayed Grace and Ethan passionately kissing. Grace had just come to the company headquarters to see me today, and I had personally escorted her downstairs. Everyone at the company headquarters knew she was my wife, and my driver was known to everyone. I frowned, feigning astonishment. Someone had to remind me to turn off the screen sharing, and I dismissed the meeting, feeling utterly distraught. I called Grace, but no one answered until the call disconnected. After a while, Grace finally called me back, breathless. Hello, Marcus. What's wrong? I just got home. I didn't notice my phone. Just got home, did you? I said coolly. I stared at the surveillance video on my computer. Grace was using her hand to push Ethan away, preventing him from getting closer. Messages kept popping up incessantly in the company group chat on WhatsApp. Marcus, are they still at the company headquarters? Should we go corner that disgraceful pair? When they come out of the stairwell later, we'll all gather at the door and scare them stiff. I didn't have time to pay attention to what the employees were saying in the group chat on WhatsApp. They assumed I was heartbroken, so they spontaneously prepared to ambush Grace and Ethan in the stairwell. Grace cooed playfully, "What's wrong, Marcus? Have you missed me already, after just a few minutes?" Ethan seemed a bit jealous of Grace, talking to me like that. He moved closer and bit Grace's lips. A muffled groan clearly came through the phone receiver. I asked again, "Are you really at home?" Grace thought for a long time, then an annoyed voice came through the receiver. "What? Don't you believe me anymore?" I sneered. "Then who's in the 6th floor stairwell?" With that, I didn't wait for Grace to answer and simply hung up. On the monitor, I saw Grace completely panic. She abruptly pushed Ethan away and frantically looked around. "What's wrong? What did that jerk say?" Ethan leaned closer. The two of them whispered something else I couldn't make out. Grace looked nervous and pushed Ethan to move out. Ethan also panicked for a moment, and they both hurried out. As soon as they pushed open the stairwell door, our company headquarters employees shouted, "Surprise!" Grace and Ethan froze in their tracks, terrified. Everyone was either taking pictures or shouting insults, moving in an orderly fashion as if they had rehearsed it many times. Cheaters. Having an affair in the stairwell. How disgusting. Everyone. Look, the company headquarters owner's wife and the owner's driver are together. Ma'am, what were you thinking? We just saw you two making out so passionately. We didn't even dare to interrupt you. Grace's face flushed crimson. She quickly covered her face with her clothes and ran out without looking back. Seeing this, Ethan quickly went after her. Employees in the group chat on WhatsApp recorded videos and tagged me, posting them in the group chat on WhatsApp. "Marcus, don't cry, we've got your back." Seeing and Ethan humiliated, my mood significantly improved. After methodically finishing my work, I slowly made my way home. The hospital also conveniently sent me the lab report, confirming that the car air freshener contained a substance that could induce unconsciousness. I saved a screenshot of the report. As soon as I arrived home, I saw Ethan kneeling at our front gate, with Grace standing beside him, sobbing uncontrollably. Seeing that I had returned, Grace lunged at me. Marcus, please listen to my explanation. It's not what it looks like. I swear I'll never do it again." Ethan knelt before me. "Mr. Marcus, we were just momentarily led astray. Please rest assured, I will never lay a hand on your wife again." I shook Grace off and looked at Ethan. "So you *do no shares my wife?" Ethan gave a bitter smile. "It's all my fault. Completely my fault. Please don't have any second thoughts about your wife." I punched Ethan hard in the face. "Do you think I'll forgive you just because you kneel and beg? From now on, if fired, I won't pay you a single extra cent. Now get the hell out." Ethan said nothing, took several punches from me, then got up to leave. Grace, however, was displeased. She shouted, looking at me, "Marcus, don't go too far." "I am going too far." My eyes were bloodshot as I looked at Grace. "The two of you are the ones having an affair. How dare you say I am going too far? Ask yourselves, how have I treated both of you all these years? I considered one my closest confidant, and the other my beloved wife, and yet you two went behind my back and got together. Was it thrilling in the company headquarters stairwell? How about you two do it right in front of me? Wouldn't that be even more exciting, in my very presence?" Grace raised her hand and slapped me. "Marcus, you insulting me?" A metallic taste of blood filled my mouth. I licked the corner of my lips, looking at Grace with a heavy heart. "Let's get a divorce. This marriage is over." Grace completely panicked. She rushed forward and covered my face. "Marcus, I didn't mean it like that. Please listen to me, okay? You're angry right now, and it's normal not to listen to reason. Can we talk about this after you've calmed down?" I ignored both of them and immediately called a moving company to empty out the room I had prepared for Ethan. Aside from his personal belongings, I smashed everything else he had used. Grace stood blankly beside me, crying uncontrollably. Ethan moved out. As he left, the lingering reluctance in his and Grace's eyes made me feel a wave of nausea. It wasn't until bedtime that Grace came to my bed with a piece of paper. "Marcus, your birthday is in a few days. I was going to give you a surprise then." Grace handed me what she was holding. It was a hospital test report. "I am pregnant. Grace held her stomach, giving me a big smile. I wasn't going to tell you now, but I have no choice. I don't want to divorce you, Marcus. How many months? Seeing that I was willing to talk to her, Grace became incredibly agitated. 3 months. I carefully recalled that it hadn't even been half a month since I was reborn. During this half month, Grace and I hadn't been intimate. Furthermore, Grace had cheated a long time ago, and after cheating, she naturally wouldn't want to be intimate with me. So, I knew perfectly well whose child it was. Grace seemed to sense my disbelief, and lunged into my arms. The baby really is yours. Truly, it's not Ethan's. I never did anything like that with Ethan. If you don't believe me, he'll commit suicide with the baby right now. 2 lives will be lost. My heart softened. If Truly was carrying my child, then my 2 lives wouldn't have been lived in vain. I reluctantly agreed not to divorce Grace. Seeing my response, Grace also breathed a sigh of relief. As usual, she prepared milk for me before bed. I took the milk, feigning confusion. I don't know why, but every time I drink this milk, I get diarrhea. I offered the milk to Grace. Why don't you try some? Grace smiled awkwardly. Are you testing me? If it gives you diarrhea, it might be lactose intolerance. I didn't take the milk back. You drink it, unless you've been putting something in it for me. Grace froze. Her expression became strained, and without defending herself, she drank the milk. I burst out laughing, my eyes fixed on Grace. I am just kidding. After all, murder is illegal, right? Grace gave a dry chuckle, too guilty to look me in the eye. After drinking the milk, Grace unusually didn't leave. She just quietly lay down beside me. Sleeping so early today. Usually, you stay up quite late. Grace's muffled voice came from under the covers. I am a bit tired today. I am going to sleep first. Once I confirmed Grace was asleep, I got dressed and walked to her and Ethan's meeting spot. Ethan was dressed in all black, wearing a baseball cap, standing with his back to the yard. I stood in his blind spot, watching him wait anxiously. The time he and Grace had agreed upon had long passed, but Grace still hadn't appeared. Ethan couldn't hold back and pulled out his phone to send a message on WhatsApp to Grace. The phone in my pocket vibrated. I looked at the message that popped up on Grace's phone. Why didn't you come? I mimicked Grace's way of speaking. He's keeping a close eye on me. Can't make it today. When are we making our move? Ethan's message suddenly sent a chill down my spine. In my previous life, Ethan and Grace had also conspired to kill me. But it wasn't this early before. It seems they exposed themselves prematurely this time, and Ethan is already impatient to make his move. Seeing no reply from me, Ethan sent several more messages consecutively. Quickly get the money out of his hands. Let's make our move soon. You can wait, but the baby and I can't. Sure enough, this child wasn't mine. I ignored Ethan further, turned, and went back to my room with the phone. I went to my study and began to think of a counter plan. In my previous life, because Grace consistently drugged me, I became lethargic and fell into a deep sleep I couldn't wake from. While I was sleeping, Ethan entered my house and strangled me to death. In this life, I had made plans in advance. I wouldn't let them have their way. I deleted all the messages Ethan had sent, then put the phone back under Grace's pillow, before finally falling asleep with peace of mind. The next morning, as soon as I opened my eyes, I saw Grace standing by my bed, holding her phone. What's wrong? I rubbed my eyes. Why are you standing here? Grace's tone was stiff. Did you look at my phone last night? Instead of answering, I countered. Why would I look at your phone? Does your phone contain some unspeakable secret? Hearing this, Grace didn't press further. It's nothing. I was just asking. Breakfast is ready. Finish eating quickly and go to the company headquarters for work. I went to wash up as usual, ignoring Grace's bloodshot eyes and venomous gaze. Before leaving, I heard Grace's inner thoughts. Let's make our move tonight. My body stiffened. I looked back at Grace. She stood frozen by the table like a zombie, her expression unreadable. That afternoon, I sent Grace a message on WhatsApp. Something came up at the company headquarters. He'll be away on a business trip for a week. Don't worry. I watched the chat box. Grace is typing for a long time. Finally, Grace replied with OK. That same day, I checked into a hotel not far from my house, and hired a private detective to place informants near my house. As evening approached, I sent Grace a screenshot of a flight ticket. "Boarding the plane now, don't worry," Grace quickly replied. "Let me know when you land." No more than 10 minutes after the message was sent, Ethan went to my house. Seeing the message from the private detective, I raised an eyebrow. I drove home and secretly double-locked the main door. I called my extended family, telling them that Grace was pregnant. I wanted to give her a surprise, and hoped everyone could come to my house that evening to show their support. I invited relatives and friends from both families, and also called in reporters. I repeatedly instructed them that once they entered the house, they just needed to create an atmosphere and take plenty of photos. The relatives were very cooperative. In less than an hour, everyone gathered happily downstairs at my house. "How is Grace pregnant?" I was just saying, "You two have been married so long, why haven't you had a child?" "See? I told you. I just mentioned it a few days ago. And now you two have a baby." Grace's mother and Grace's father looked at me, beaming with happiness. Yes, this child's arrival was quite sudden indeed. I was shocked when Grace told me about it yesterday. We were all chattering downstairs, while inside the house, they were passionately entangled on the bed. In front of everyone, I opened the main door to my house. I, holding a bouquet of roses, pushed the door open and entered first. My relatives followed me into the house. I pulled the reporter in front of me. "My wife should be resting in the bedroom at this hour. In a moment, you come with me. I'll push the door open, go in with the flowers, and then you follow right behind me." The reporter gave me an okay sign. I curled my lips into a smile, and turned to go upstairs. Surprise! I pushed the door open, and the reporter followed me closely into the room, immediately visible. Grace and Ethan were intimately entwined. Both were naked, rolling around on the bed. Seeing me enter, Grace shrieked and frantically covered her face with the blanket. Ethan's face went completely dark. The moment he turned and saw the camera, he completely lost control and released himself. Seeing that we weren't speaking, the relatives each craned their necks to look into the room. Once everyone was inside, they stood in stunned silence. I threw the roses to the floor, my eyes bloodshot, and tremblingly pointed at Grace. You two didn't. You say you had broken it off." Grace's father rushed forward and slapped Ethan hard. "What the hell are you?" Grace's mother also ran forward, wrapped Grace in a blanket, and then slapped Grace across the face. "How could you be so shameless? Don't you know you married? How can you be so utterly shameless? Marcus has been so good to you, and is still not satisfied." Grace screamed like a madwoman, and the room became chaotic. I called the reporter out, and feigning sorrow, looked at him. "I am sorry you had to witness this today. I never expected things to turn out this way. Look, I'll pay you more, and you give me the memory card." "Okay." The reporter was easy to deal with, exchanging the memory card for a transfer of funds. After the reporter left, I apologized to all the relatives. "Everyone, I am truly sorry you had to witness this today. I really didn't expect." The relatives had had enough of the drama. Everyone expressed understanding, their eyes filled with sympathy as they looked at me. When I entered the room, Grace's father, Grace's mother, Grace, and Ethan were still arguing. Grace's father cornered Ethan against the wall, and, without even letting him put his clothes on, proceeded to beat him fiercely. Grace sat on the bed crying, while Grace's mother lectured her on traditional wifely virtues, pulling her ear. "How could I have given birth to such a shameless daughter like you?" After entering the room, I picked up the roses and placed them on the bed. "I had actually intended to believe you yesterday, which is why I specifically told you today that I was going on a business trip, aiming to give you a surprise. I never imagined it would come to this. You told me yesterday that you had completely broken it off with Ethan. Now I truly don't know if this child is mine or Ethan's." I took out the divorce papers I had prepared long ago, and placed them in front of Grace. "Let's get a divorce. After what you've done today, this marriage truly cannot continue." Grace's father and Grace's mother panicked upon hearing this. The two elderly individuals, already with one foot in the grave, knelt on the ground, begging me. They still held somewhat traditional views. A divorced woman in a small town would be subject to judgment. Grace, after all, had attended college. She couldn't stand seeing her parents humbling themselves before me, so she signed the divorce papers right in front of me. She threw the divorce papers in front of me. "You've always looked down on my family. I've always known that. Don't you just think I am from a small town, and therefore not good enough for you? Then let's just get a divorce." My parents always respected you as a rich young master, treating you with deference. Do you think you deserve it? She forcefully helped her parents up and left with Ethan. The divorce papers had been drafted by me long ago. It stipulated an infidelity clause. Provoked by me, Grace signed the agreement without even looking at it. After they left, silence completely returned to the house. I found someone to pack up all of Grace's belongings, and threw them outside the door. Ethan took Grace back to their rented apartment. On the day they went to City Hall for the divorce, Grace completely lost her mind when she realized she wouldn't get a single cent. She refused to sign on the spot, threatening to sue me. Go ahead and sue then. Let's see if you win, or I win with the infidelity clause. Grace fell silent. That night, she knelt at my front door. Marcus, I am sorry. I truly know I was wrong. Please forgive me. It was pouring rain outside. Grace cried uncontrollably, kneeling in the downpour to a degree that anyone witnessing it would feel their heart soften. I hated Grace, but I didn't have a penchant for watching people self-destruct. No matter what I did, Grace wouldn't leave. Helpless, I had no choice but to let her inside. Your clothes are still in the closet upstairs. Change and then leave. From start to finish, I was not the one in the wrong. Grace wiped away a tear. Do we truly have no chance left? I said nothing. Grace nodded, and utterly disheartened, went upstairs. Ah! Grace screamed from upstairs. I ran up the stairs in a few strides. What's wrong? After pushing the door open and entering the room, I didn't see anyone. The next second, I blacked out. When I woke up again, Ethan and Grace were standing by my bed, looking down at me. Be awake. Ethan held the rope, gesturing with it near my neck. Don't you know this is illegal? Ethan shrugged. So what? If I can kill you once, I can kill you twice. I suppressed my surprise. Had he also been reborn? Grace sat opposite me. Marcus, you deserve to die. If it weren't for you, we wouldn't have ended up like this. Ethan and I were childhood sweethearts. It's all your fault. If it weren't for you, I would have married him long ago. We wouldn't have had to go through such a long detour only to still not be together legitimately. I almost burst out laughing in anger. Then why didn't you just reject me in the first place? Grace cursed loudly. Your family is so rich. How dare I reject you? My family has no money to begin with. I wouldn't dare do anything against you people. You despicable capitalists. I was truly puzzled. You keep saying I looked down on you. What did I ever do to wrong you? Grace opened her mouth, tears welling up in her eyes again. On our first date, you took me to such a high-end restaurant. I couldn't even understand the menu. Weren't you deliberately trying to embarrass me? I was speechless. Ethan tightened the rope. All right, stop wasting your breath on him. Let's just kill him now, and stage it as a suicide, just like in the previous life. I burst out laughing, looking at Ethan, enunciating each word. You are so naive. Do you think you are the only one who got a second chance? Ethan froze, taking a few steps back. In that brief moment of his stunned silence, the police burst through the door and took Ethan and Grace away. Days earlier, I had already heard Ethan's and Grace's true thoughts. I heard every single detail of their plans to kill me. I had made my plans well in advance, waiting for them to take the bait. After and Ethan were taken away, I sued them in the courthouse. I presented the police with evidence that Grace and Ethan had drugged me, along with proof of their intent to kill me. With undeniable evidence, Grace and Ethan were sent to prison, but they had only just been reborn. In their previous lives, they had lived in luxury, and now, returning to this life only to be imprisoned immediately, anyone would be furious. They spent a fortune hiring lawyers, and found people to spread unfavorable comments about me online. Online users were misled by them, and flocked to the company headquarters to insult me. Some even began boycotting products from my company. In response, I immediately posted evidence and videos of Grace and Ethan's affair online, along with their chat logs planning to kill me. I even posted the video recorded by reporters that day online. My fate. I thought he was a scumbag, but who knew there'd be such a twist? How terrifying. It seems none of them are good people. Three's a crowd. Then, the public opinion shifted instantly. The online users, having been used as pawns, were furious and flooded the police department's comments section, hoping the police would ensure the scumbag and wicked woman rotted in prison. This incident caused a huge sensation in society. A well-known entrepreneur was almost murdered by his wife and her lover, and I even made it into the social news for it. The incident caught the attention of the government, and in the end, Grace and I divorced. She and Ethan were each sentenced to prison. In the courthouse, Grace still couldn't accept the truth. She tried to pull Ethan to commit suicide with her. She muttered frantically, "Let's just die again. This time, we'll definitely have a good life. Just one more time." I couldn't be bothered with their antics. Getting a second chance at life was fate's pity on me, but it was certainly not a reason for wicked people to use it to commit evil. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, please like and share with friends. We look forward to hearing your honest thoughts in the comment section. Feel free to share your views, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting daily stories. See you next time.